So when it comes to embodying the dark feminine, you cannot access her power if you do not feel safe in your body. So this is my third video in my Dark Feminine series. In the very first video, I taught you who the Dark Feminine really is. And in my last video, I taught you who the Dark Feminine is not. And I also gave you 3 examples of some distortions that women operate from that keep them stuck and keep them out of the Dark Feminine frequency. So go back and watch those videos if this is your first introduction to my channel. Hello, by the way, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So let's just get right into it. In the last video, when I talked about the distortions that women operate from, the conclusion is that all of those distortions are rooted in a lack of safety within the body or safety within the nervous system, women who are operating out of survival mode. And so a lot of women are taught that, you know, they think that they're failing, but the reality is that they're just in survival mode and they don't understand why things aren't clicking for them. They don't understand why they're not tapping into the frequency. They're like, I'm reading all the books, I'm taking all the classes, what's going on? So let's talk about it a little bit. So this isn't about trying harder. This isn't about pushing through fear. This isn't about forcing embodiment or faking it till you make it, mimicking confidence, any of those things. Because the dark feminine doesn't emerge through force. She emerges, excuse me, the dark feminine does not emerge through force. She emerges through safety. So what do I mean by safety? When I talk about safety, what I mean is emotional safety, nervous system regulation, self-trust, the internal permission to be honest, not people-pleasing, not overgiving, not lying to yourself and not lying to others in order to maintain relationships or connections to people. So it's basically about understanding, first and foremost, that you are not going to be punished by being honest. And this is something that a lot of women subconsciously fear because this is how patriarchy has groomed women to feel. We are punished for honoring boundaries, for speaking our truth, for standing up for ourselves. And we learn at a very, very young age to move in the opposite direction or in the distorted direction in order to feel safety. But that safety it's not true safety. It's safety that only exists as an illusion because it's coming from a place of manipulation. So why safety blocks the dark feminine? When your energy doesn't feel safe, you default to controlling behaviors. You default to forcing behaviors. So this is where people pleasing comes from. This is where over-explaining comes from. Being volatile or emotionally reactive, or on the opposite end, completely shutting down, being emotionally withdrawn, isolating yourself, or performance. I talk about the aesthetic, I talk about the performance of dark femininity that a lot of women lean into, and of course, hypersexuality. So all of these distorted behaviors are created as a means of gaining control because you don't feel safe within your body. And this is different for all women. Some women go into hypersexuality because maybe they were sexually abused as a child, or they think that it's the only way for them to receive attention or validation from men. Some women divert into people-pleasing behaviors because they're taught that the good girl is the only one that receives love, or over-explaining yourself because you don't trust that what you have to say will land for the other person, or you don't accept that the truth that you express will be received properly. These are things that create or are born from a lack of safety within the body. These are essentially survival strategies that women will adopt when they don't feel safe. So the difference between control and power is that control comes from fear and power comes from trust. Control comes from fear, power comes from trust. So a woman who doesn't feel safe within her body is going to constantly try to manage outcomes. I have a video on my page called People Pleasing is a Form of Manipulation. Go back and watch that, because that is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Of people pleasing is a manipulation. It's a control tactic to manage outcomes of your interactions in your relationships. It's to control the way that people perceive you so that you can control how they feel about you, so that they feel good about you, so that you feel safe within yourself. But again, it isn't true safety because it's all built upon a lie. It's built upon distortion. It's built upon manipulation. So when you try to force dark feminine energy, it's going to backfire on you. And this is why. Because when you are not being truthful, when you are forcing, when you are in control, it creates contraction or it creates collapse within the body, within the nervous system. Your relationships will destabilize. You will lose your sense of self-trust. You don't recognize your inner voice, your inner wisdom, because you have spent so much of your time ignoring the truth of yourself. You've spent so much time ignoring your inner wisdom, your inner voice, your inner compass that's designed to guide you on your path. And so the self-trust erodes, and then you will be feeling a lot of shame because of all of these different outcomes. Shame from the erosion of your relationships or the destabilization of your relationships. Shame because you don't trust yourself. Shame because of the outcomes that you're creating by trying to force different outcomes. It's a very, very unfortunate catch-22 that a lot of women find themselves in. So you're basically asking your body through this force to experience something that it doesn't have the capacity to hold. And this is why it backfires on you. And then on top of the destabilization that happens within the body and the relationships, the shame, then you start packing on things like illnesses and not just like physical illnesses, mental illnesses, all types of disorders in the body that are a result of you operating from this place of misalignment. So what actually creates safety? Hold on. So what's going to create safety for you is honoring your boundaries, honoring your sacred no, expressing what's true for yourself, holding firm in your decisions, listening to the rhythm of your body and honoring the rhythm of your body. Your emotional rhythms, the rhythms of your cycle. A lot of women don't understand that we are cyclical beings and that your menstrual cycle or the different phases that you go through in your reproductive cycle or your menstrual cycle are designed to be followed by you because they're telling you where your hormone levels are. They're telling you why you might be on an emotional low or an emotional high, why your energy's high, why your energy's low. All of these things, when you start listening to these parts of your body, that's going to help create more grounding and more safety within yourself. Leaving environments that are unhealthy for you, leaving relationships that are unhealthy for you. These are the things that are going to help anchor safety into your body. Saying no and actually meaning it. When you do set a boundary, enforcing those boundaries, not just saying this is my boundary, but then when people, override your boundaries or disrespect your boundaries, leaning into, your idea of yourself being an empath as a way of not moving forward with the consequences that come from actually having those boundaries. So it's essentially not betraying yourself. All of these things boil down to not betraying yourself. Like self-betrayal, self-abandonment are really the foundations of why a lot of you don't have this sense of safety within yourself. And it starts as a child where you don't really have the autonomy, you don't really have the authority, and maybe the way that you felt was steamrolled over by parents or you weren't listened to. But now that you are an adult, now that you have autonomy, now that you have power over the way that you show up in your relationships, this is the time for you to set those boundaries or to honor yourself, to listen to the rhythms of your body, remove yourself from situations that aren't healthy for you. And this is how you're going to create that deeper grounding and that deeper safety within yourself. So if you've been trying to force being in your feminine energy, being in your dark feminine energy, and you're not understanding why you don't feel connected to yourself or why you don't feel connected to her, you don't feel connected to the divine feminine, it's time for you to really take a step back and look at how you're showing up for yourself in your life. Do I have a sense of inner safety? Do I even know what safety feels like within my body? And this is the work that I do with my clients. This is the work that I do in my master classes and in my immersions and workshops. This is what we're doing in my Selfish Bitch immersion that starts today. And it's really about, first of all, recognizing where you're not honoring yourself, recognizing where you are betraying, where your people pleaser comes out, where your overgiver comes out, where you're over explaining, where you are leaning into hypersexuality for validation or for confidence or for acceptance or for feeling like you're chosen or loved by someone, only to recognize on the other side of it that none of those things were actually real. They were all a result of you overgiving or are allowing people to siphon from you or to steal your life force energy. Hold on, I lost my spot in my notes. Give me a second. Yeah, so I want to hear from you. Drop down in the comments and let me know how this lands for you, because this idea of inner safety is something that a lot of women aren't clear on. We think that, and we're taught that safety exists outside of us. We think that safety comes from having the husband or having, the close circle of friends or having the right job or the way that we are perceived. And none of those things, there's nothing outside of you that is supposed to be your source of safety, because everything outside of you is transient, is impermanent. Nothing, the only thing that you will always have access to is yourself. The only thing that you will always have access to is your internal sense of self, your identity, the way that you view yourself and the way that you show up. The people outside of you are designed to reflect back to you who you are being day to day, who you are being in the way that you show up. So if you are looking outside of yourself to create that sense of safety, this is why you're always going to feel unsafe, because the unfortunate reality is that people are going to disappoint you. People are going to betray you. People are going to push your boundaries or violate your boundaries. People are not going to keep their word. People are going to change. People are going to grow and evolve. People are going to move out of your life. Circumstances are going to change. Your job, you think that safety comes from your job, but you might lose your job. And I talked about this on a recent video. I talked about getting fired from my TV show and how that threw my world into a tailspin, and how I was leaning into that job as a sense of finally feeling like I could just rest and like I had financial stability. But then when that got ripped from underneath, when that carpet got ripped from underneath my feet, I was thrown into chaos because I hadn't fully cultivated that sense of safety within myself. I hadn't learned how to create my own money and to be fully resourced based off of just my gifts and my talents. I was reliant on an external force, an employer, to make sure that I was resourced. So when you're looking outside of yourself for safety, you are in a very, very precarious position, because everything outside of yourself is constantly going to shift and evolve. We live in a realm of expansion. We live in a realm of growth. We live in a realm that exists on cycles of birth and death and birth and death and birth and death. So the things that are existing in your life that you're holding on to as your foundation are not necessarily going to be there tomorrow. But what can stay present or ever present, what can stay permanent as a fixture in your life, is you creating a sense of safety within yourself, so that no matter what is happening outside of you, you are always going to feel protected. You are always going to feel grounded. You are always going to feel like you have something to stand firm on underneath your feet. And the only way for you to do that is to create safety within yourself. So if you want to really lean into being in your dark feminine essence, if you want to understand and fully embody dark femininity, the dark feminine frequency, and honor that part of yourself, honor that wholeness of yourself, then learning how to create that sense of inner safety is the only way that you're going to be able to do that. Nothing happens without you feeling fully safe. Your dreams, your desires, your visions, your creations, all of these things are strengthened and amplified and pushed further into existence by you having that inner sense of safety and trust within yourself. So drop down in the comments. Let me know how this landed for you. My next video, I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to give you some more concrete examples of how the dark feminine is expressed in your day-to-day life, how you can lean more into creating that sense of safety in your day-to-day life. And I want to know how what I shared today shifted things for you? Did you even understand this concept of inner safety before this? And do you now recognize all of the ways in which you've been outsourcing safety and why it is causing you so much pain in your life? Let me know. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoy this content, if you enjoy what it is that I'm sharing, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know. Let the algorithm know so I can do more of these videos. I've been really enjoying doing all of these videos, but especially this dark feminine frequency. I don't know why I didn't do, or not frequency, yes, frequency, but series. I don't know why I wasn't doing that before, but I realized after looking at the analytics on my first video about dark femininity that y'all really love this topic. And as I said in my previous video, there's so much to unpack and uncover when it comes to the dark feminine. And so I want to give you all the tea about the dark feminine and how to embody this in your life, because for me, learning about the dark feminine and really, well, in a sense, I've always kind of embodied the dark feminine frequency through being selfish, being self-assured, but really understanding that what I was embodying was this primordial essence just made me feel so good. And I'm so grateful to be able to teach this to you all and to share these codes with you and these transmissions with you, because I want women to embody this energy, because I would love for there to be a day where I don't have to walk women through the pain of self-betrayal and healing from self-betrayal and healing from self-abandonment. I am calling in a world where women recognize themselves as the source of their power, the source of love, the source of their creativity, and they're not looking outside of themselves for it unless it's from a place of conscious co-creation, where you are honoring the inner truth and the inner safety of another person, the inner creativity of another person, to come together to build something beautiful, but not needing anything outside of yourself in order to make your dreams a reality. So again, thank you so much for being here. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling, what you want to see in future videos. And don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, because it lets me know that you are messing with and fucking with what I got to share with you. So thank you so much. I'll see you on the next video. Wait, one last thing I forgot to say. Today, we begin the Selfish Bitch initiation. So the link for that is in the description box, and I'm also going to put it in the comments below. We begin this evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is not too late to sign up. And even if you're watching this video after January 7th, which is the start date, all of these calls are being recorded, and this entire initiation, this entire immersive experience will still be available for you after January 7th. So you can join anytime. And even if this is months later, I will still have this initiation available for you for purchase. So don't forget to just click on this link if this is something that you're interested in. I would love to have you in this immersion, because every single thing that I'm talking about in these videos about dark femininity, setting boundaries, creating that sense of inner safety, recognizing who the divine feminine is, who the dark feminine is, all of these concepts of bringing you out of the performative, obedient good girl into the sovereign woman, the selfish bitch archetype. This is what we're uncovering and unpacking in the Selfish Bitch initiation. So if this is something that you're interested in, click those links, hit purchase, come on into my world so that I can give you more of this medicine, because these experiences have been so transformative for all of the women that I've gotten to work with, and I really want to share this medicine with you. Okay, now I'm leaving. Bye.